I used to think $1,000 a month was nothing. I mean, that's what some people spend on coffee and lunches in a month, right? But then something shifted in my life, and I realized I had been looking at this number completely wrong. That extra $1,000 coming in every single month without trading my time for it changed everything about how I saw money, freedom, and what was actually possible in my life. And I'm not talking about some get-rich-quick fantasy. I'm talking about the real psychological shift that happens when you wake up and money has shown up in your account while you were sleeping. Let me paint you a picture of what life looks like before you hit that first $1,000 in passive income. You're working your regular job, maybe 40 or 50 hours a week. You're tired on Sunday nights. You calculate how many days until your next paycheck. You think about asking for time off but hesitate because you need the money. Every dollar you make is directly tied to you showing up somewhere and doing something. If you stop working, the money stops coming. It's that simple and that terrifying. Now, here's what most people don't understand about that first $1,000 of passive income. It's not about the money itself. Sure, $1,000 is nice. It covers rent for some people, a car payment for others, or maybe it's your grocery budget. But the real transformation isn't in your bank account at first. It's in your mind. When you generate your first $1,000 passively, something cracks open in your brain. You start to see money differently. You realize that the story you've been told your entire life about needing to trade hours for dollars isn't the only way. You understand on a deep level that money can be decoupled from your physical presence. You can be at the beach, asleep, playing with your kids, or doing absolutely nothing, and money can still flow into your life. This realization is profound because it breaks the scarcity mindset that most of us carry around like heavy backpacks. We've been conditioned to believe that there's never enough time, never enough money, and that we have to hustle and grind every single day just to survive. But when passive income starts flowing, even at just $1,000 a month, you see proof that another way exists. Let me tell you about the practical changes that happen at this level. First, your stress around money starts to decrease. Not disappear, but decrease. You've got a financial buffer now. If something breaks, if an unexpected bill comes up, if you need to take a sick day, that $1,000 is there as a cushion. You're not living paycheck to paycheck in the same desperate way anymore. Second, you start making different decisions about your time. Maybe you don't pick up that overtime shift you would have grabbed before. Maybe you actually use your vacation days. Maybe you start a side project that interests you but doesn't pay immediately because you know you have that passive income cushion. You begin to value your time differently because you're not in pure survival mode anymore. Third, and this is huge, you start thinking about scaling. Once you've proven to yourself that you can generate $1,000 passively, your brain immediately starts asking the question, if I can make $1,000, can I make $2,000? Can I make $5,000? Can I replace my entire income this way? The limiting beliefs start crumbling because you have evidence that this is possible. Now let's talk about what passive income actually is, because there's a lot of confusion and frankly, a lot of nonsense out there. True passive income is money you earn without actively working for it on an ongoing basis. Notice I didn't say without any work at all. Almost all passive income requires significant upfront work or investment. But once it's set up, it generates income with minimal ongoing effort. Some people think passive income means you do nothing and money magically appears. That's not reality. Others think passive income is a scam or impossible. That's also not reality. The truth lives in the middle. Passive income requires you to build something, invest in something, or create something that continues to provide value to others without requiring your constant attention. There are dozens of ways to generate passive income, and the right one for you depends on your skills, interests, resources, and risk tolerance. Some people build digital products like courses or ebooks. Others invest in dividend-paying stocks or real estate. Some create content on platforms that pay them for views or engagement. Others build software, apps, or tools that people pay to use. What matters at the beginning is not finding the perfect passive income stream. What matters is starting and proving to yourself that this is possible. That first $1,000 is less about the specific method and more about the mindset shift and momentum it creates. Here's something nobody tells you about passive income, though. The first $1,000 is actually the hardest $1,000 to make. Not because the tactics are difficult, but because you're fighting against years of conditioning and beliefs about money. You're trying something new. You're uncertain. You might fail multiple times before something works. You're investing time and energy into something that isn't paying you immediately, which feels uncomfortable and risky. But once you break through and hit that first $1,000 per month, something interesting happens. The second 1,000 is easier, not because the work is less, but because the mental barriers are gone. You know it's possible. You've done it before. You understand the mechanics. You have confidence. And that confidence is everything. Let me break down the psychology of what happens in your brain when you start earning passive income. There's a concept in psychology called learned helplessness. It's when you've tried to change something so many times and failed that you eventually stop trying. You learn that you're helpless to change your situation. Many people have this relationship with money. They've tried to get ahead, to save more, to earn more, but nothing seems to work, so they stop trying. They accept that they'll always struggle financially. Passive income breaks this pattern. It's proof that change is possible. It rewires your brain from learned helplessness to learned optimism. You start to believe that if you can create one stream of passive income, you can create others. If you can make 1,000, you can make more. You become someone who solves problems and creates opportunities rather than someone who feels trapped by circumstances. There's also a concept called the hedonic treadmill. It's the idea that humans quickly adapt to positive changes and return to their baseline level of happiness. You get a raise, you're excited for a week, then it becomes your new normal. You buy something you've wanted forever, you're thrilled for a moment, and the excitement fades. This happens with passive income too, but in a productive way. At first, that $1,000 feels incredible. You check your account multiple times a day. You can't believe it's real. But after a few months, it becomes normal. And this is actually good because it means you're ready for the next level. Your baseline has shifted. What once seemed impossible is now your normal, which means you're ready to reach for something that currently seems impossible. Now let's address the elephant in the room. $1,000 a month passive income is not going to make you rich. It's not going to let you quit your job and sail around the world. It's not going to solve all your financial problems. And that's perfectly fine because that's not the point of the first 1,000. The first 1,000 is about proof of concept. It's about breaking the mental chains that keep most people trapped in the trading time for money paradigm. It's about building the foundation for something bigger. It's about changing your relationship with money and possibility. Think about it this way. If you're currently making zero passive income, $1,000 represents infinite growth. You've gone from nothing to something. And once you have something, you can build on it. You can optimize it. You can replicate it. You can scale it. Here's what happens for most people who reach that first $1,000 milestone. They don't stop there. They can't stop there because they've tasted freedom. They've experienced what it feels like to have money coming in that isn't directly tied to their time. And once you experience that feeling, you want more of it. Some people take that first passive income stream and perfect it, growing it to 2 or 3 or 5,000 a month. Others use the confidence and skills they gain to start a second passive income stream. Still others use the financial breathing room to make bigger changes in their life, like starting a business, changing careers, or investing in their education. The beauty of passive income is that it's cumulative. That first 1,000 doesn't go away when you start working on the second 1,000. If you build multiple streams of passive income, they stack on top of each other. 2 streams of $1,000 each gives you $2,000 a month. 5 streams gives you 5,000. The math is simple, but the impact is exponential. Let's talk about time for a moment, because time is really what passive income gives you. We all have 24 hours in a day. If you work a traditional job, you're trading 8 or more of those hours for money. You're also spending time commuting, getting ready for work, and recovering from work. By the time you factor everything in, your job consumes a huge portion of your life. When you have passive income, you're breaking that time to money link. That $1,000 you earn passively represents hours of your life that you don't have to sell. If your hourly rate is $25, $1,000 of passive income represents 40 hours of your life each month that you now own. That's a week of freedom. That's a week you can spend however you want. And here's the compound effect of time. When you're not spending all your time working for money, you have time to create more passive income streams. You have time to learn new skills. You have time to think strategically about your life instead of just reacting to whatever comes at you. You have time to be present with the people you love. Time is the real wealth that passive income provides. Now I want to address something that stops a lot of people from even trying to build passive income. They think they need a huge audience, special skills, lots of money to invest, or some kind of unfair advantage. None of that is true. The barrier to entry for building passive income has never been lower. You can create and sell a digital product with just your knowledge and a computer. You can start a blog or YouTube channel with zero money. You can invest in dividend stocks with just a few $100s. You can rent out a spare room or your car. You can create print-on-demand products without holding inventory. The tools and platforms exist to help you build passive income regardless of your starting point. What you need is not special circumstances. What you need is commitment, consistency, and patience. Building passive income takes time. It takes effort. It takes learning and adapting. But it doesn't require you to be special or lucky. It requires you to start and keep going. Here's what the journey to that first 1,000 typically looks like. Month 1, you make nothing or almost nothing. You're learning. You're figuring things out. You're putting in work and seeing no return. This is where most people quit. Month 2, maybe you make $50. It doesn't feel like much, but it's proof that this works. Month 3, $100. Month 4, $200. The growth isn't linear. Some months you might go backwards, but if you stick with it and keep learning and improving, eventually you hit that $1,000 mark. The timeline varies wildly depending on what you're doing. Some passive income streams can reach $1,000 a month within a few months. Others take a year or more. But here's the thing, that time is going to pass anyway. A year from now, you can either be earning passive income or wishing you had started a year ago. Let me tell you what changes in your identity when you become someone who generates passive income. You stop seeing yourself as just an employee or just someone who trades time for money. You start seeing yourself as a creator, an investor, a business owner, an entrepreneur. Even if you still have a regular job, your identity expands. You're someone who builds things that generate value and income. This identity shift matters more than you might think. How you see yourself determines what you believe is possible for you, which determines the actions you take, which determines your results. When you see yourself as someone who only makes money from a job, that limits your possibilities. When you see yourself as someone who can create income in multiple ways, your possibilities expand dramatically. There's also a ripple effect that happens in your life. When people around you see you building passive income, some of them get inspired. Maybe your kids see you working on something of your own and learn that they don't have to follow the traditional path. Maybe a friend asks you how you're doing it and decides to start their own journey. Maybe your partner feels less financial pressure because there's another income stream coming into the household. You become an example of what's possible. And in a world where most people feel trapped by their financial circumstances, being that example is powerful. You're not just changing your own life, you're showing others that change is possible. Now let's talk about the mistakes people make when building passive income, because avoiding these can save you months or years. The first mistake is trying to do too many things at once. People get excited and want to start 5 different passive income streams simultaneously. They spread themselves too thin, do none of them well, and burn out. Focus on one stream until it's working, then add another. The second mistake is giving up too early. Most people quit right before they would have succeeded. They put in 3 months of work, see minimal results, and decide it's not working. But if they had just stuck with it for 3 more months, they would have broken through. Building passive income requires patience and persistence. The third mistake is not treating it like a real business. People dabble. They work on it when they feel like it. They don't track metrics. They don't test and optimize. If you want to build meaningful passive income, you have to approach it seriously. That doesn't mean it can't be fun, but it means you have to be consistent and strategic. The fourth mistake is copying others exactly without understanding the principles. Someone sees that a person made money doing X, so they try to do exactly X, but they don't understand why it worked, what market conditions made it possible, or how to adapt the strategy to their own situation. Learn principles, not just tactics. Here's the truth about passive income that might be hard to hear. It's not actually passive at first. You have to put in significant active work up front. You might work for months before you see any return. You might spend hundreds of hours creating something before anyone pays you for it. This is why it's called passive income, not passive work. The income eventually becomes passive, but getting there requires a lot of active effort. But here's the flip side. Once you've built a passive income stream, it can generate money for years with minimal ongoing effort. You put in the work once and get paid repeatedly. Compare that to a regular job where you have to show up and work every single day to get paid. The math is drastically different over time. Let me tell you about the compound effect of passive income. If you build one stream that generates $1,000 a month and then do nothing else, that's $12,000 a year for potentially decades. If you reinvest some of that money into building more streams or growing existing ones, the growth becomes exponential. If you build multiple streams over time, you can create a portfolio of income sources that add up to serious money. And here's something most people don't consider. Passive income gives you options during a crisis. If you lose your job, you still have income coming in. If you get sick and can't work, you still have income coming in. If there's an economic downturn and you need to take a lower paying job, you have passive income to bridge the gap. It's a form of financial resilience that traditional income can't provide. The world is changing rapidly. Job security is largely a myth. Companies lay off employees constantly. Industries get disrupted. Skills become obsolete. In this environment, having multiple streams of income isn't just smart, it's essential. And passive income gives you the ability to create those multiple streams without requiring you to work multiple jobs. Think about the future you want. Do you want to work until you're 65 or 70, hoping your retirement savings are enough? Or do you want to build income streams now that could support you even if you stop actively working. Do you want to be dependent on an employer for your financial survival, or do you want to have your own sources of income that give you leverage and freedom? These aren't just theoretical questions. These are real choices you're making every day by what you decide to do with your time and energy. Every hour you spend watching TV or scrolling social media is an hour you could have spent building something that generates income. I'm not saying you can't relax or have fun. I'm saying be intentional about how you use your time, because time is the one resource you can never get back. That first $1,000 of passive income is a doorway. On one side is the life you've always known, where you trade time for money and hope it's enough. On the other side is a life where you have more freedom, more options, more control over your time and your future. It's not a magic solution to all of life's problems, but it's a significant step toward a different kind of life. So here's my challenge to you. Decide today that you're going to build passive income. Not someday, not when you have more time or more money or more knowledge. Today, pick one method that aligns with your skills and interests. Commit to working on it consistently for at least 6 months. Track your progress. Learn and adapt. Don't give up when it gets hard or when you don't see immediate results, because here's what I know. A year from now, you'll wish you had started today. 2 years from now, you could be earning significant passive income if you start now and stay consistent. 5 years from now, your life could be completely different because you made the decision to build passive income instead of just thinking about it. That $1,000 a month isn't just money. It's proof that you can create something from nothing. It's evidence that you're not limited by your circumstances. It's the foundation for financial freedom. It's the beginning of a new relationship with money, time, and what's possible in your life. And it all starts with making the decision to begin and then doing the work to make it real.